The hum of the Galactic Council's Grand Chamber grew louder as representatives from across the galaxy prepared to witness a pivotal moment in history. For centuries, the Council had been the undisputed governing body of the galaxy, a body composed of the greatest civilizations the universe had ever known. They had witnessed countless species rise, fall, and submit to their rule. Yet today, there was something about this moment that made the air crackle with tension. Humanity, newly introduced to the galactic stage, had been invited to join the Intergalactic Alliance. It was an honor. It was a privilege. It was also something that no one ever dared to reject. And yet, as Earth's representatives prepared to speak, the Council members felt a cold unease settle in their bones. They had seen many species bend to their will, but humans? They were different. The weight of the unknown hung over them like a storm cloud. The proposal. Counselor Vithar, a towering alien from the Zoan AR system, stood at the center of the chamber, his voice booming across the vast room. He was the one who had spearheaded the invitation to Earth, believing their potential to be immense, yet untested. He was confident that humanity's raw power would blend seamlessly with the galaxy's most influential forces. As he spoke, his 6 arms gestured grandly, but beneath his calm exterior, his heart raced. We, the Galactic Council, have extended our hand in alliance to the species known as humans, Vithar announced, his voice echoing with the weight of millennia of diplomacy. The great civilizations of the universe recognize your strength, your resilience, and your potential. Earth's future in the galactic order is now in your hands. Across the room, Earth's diplomat, Ambassador Talia Romanoff, stood unmoving. Her gaze was cold, unflinching, but her mind was anything but. She had been chosen for this moment, an experienced negotiator sharp as a blade, and unyielding in her principles. The Galactic Council had no idea how different humanity truly was. When it was her turn to speak, Talia's voice was calm, measured, yet undeniably firm. Thank you for the invitation. However, we, the people of Earth, have decided to reject your offer. A collective gasp rippled through the chamber. It was an unprecedented moment in the history of the Galactic Council. A rejection of this magnitude had never occurred, not from a species as young and isolated as humanity. Counselor Vithar's mouth parted in disbelief, and he glanced around the room to gauge the reactions of his fellow members. This wasn't just a rejection, it was a defiance. The rejection. The murmurs of surprise and confusion filled the air as the representatives tried to process what had just happened. To the Council, the rejection was not just an insult, it was an enigma. The humans had no idea what they were turning down. The vast resources of the galaxy, the protection of its greatest military powers, the opportunity to participate in shaping the future of the stars. How could they walk away from all of that? But Earth's rejection was no mere political move. It was a statement, a declaration of self-sufficiency that no one had expected. For a moment, there was silence, the weight of it pressing on the chamber like an unspoken truth. Ambassador Romanoff's gaze swept across the room. She knew what was coming next. The questions, the demands, the endless attempts to sway her. She had been prepared for it all. This wasn't a game to her. This was humanity's future, and the Galactic Council was far too blind to see it. You misunderstand, Romanoff continued, her voice cutting through the tension. We do not need your alliance. We have our own path to follow, our own way of ensuring our survival and success in this universe. Your terms, your rules, do not apply to us. Vithar's 6 eyes narrowed, the intensity of the moment catching up to him. He had expected humanity to show gratitude, to fall in line like every other species. But instead, the humans were resolute in their rejection. He had never considered the possibility that Earth might not want to join the galactic fold, much less reject the very foundation of galactic order. How can you refuse us? Vithar asked, his voice laced with a mixture of disbelief and growing irritation. You are a young species isolated, without the experience or resources to survive the dangers of this galaxy. The Council offers you protection, unity, and the strength of civilizations far beyond your own. Romanoff didn't flinch. "We do not need your protection," she replied. "Earth has faced far worse threats than anything you can imagine. Our history is filled with struggles we have overcome, wars, invasions, extinction events. We have stood alone before and survived. And we will do it again, on our terms." A shocking revelation. The counselors exchanged uneasy glances. They had no idea what Earth was capable of. The sheer audacity of humanity's refusal to bow to the established order shook them to their core. They had underestimated Earth, and now they realized the full weight of their mistake. Humans were not like the others. They did not fear the unknown. They thrived it. But as the room buzzed with confusion and whispers, one counselor, a being from the distant world of Endara, spoke up. His voice was low, measured, yet filled with a dark understanding. "You speak of your strength, Ambassador Romanoff. But are you prepared for what will come next?" Romanoff met his gaze, unflinching. "We are prepared for anything." The chamber fell silent once more, but this time, the silence was pregnant with tension. The Galactic Council had made a grave mistake by underestimating humanity. And now, the consequences of their arrogance were about to unfold. The silence that followed humanity's rejection was not the calm before a storm. It was the storm itself. In the Galactic Council's hallowed chambers, tension thickened the air as representatives from across the galaxy processed the unthinkable. A species, one they thought primitive, naive, and easy to control, had just snubbed their overtures with the nonchalance of a seasoned power. But as the council debated in hushed tones, far beyond their reach, something was stirring on Earth. Something that no one in the galaxy had yet fully understood. The human enigma. To the galactic powers, humanity was an anomaly. Despite their relative youth in galactic terms, Earth's inhabitants had shown an uncanny ability to survive against overwhelming odds. But what the council did not know, what they could not possibly know, was that humanity had always been underestimated. Time and again, Earth had overcome the impossible, fought wars that seemed unwinnable, and emerged from the ashes stronger each time. As the council deliberated their next move, an ancient signal was intercepted on the fringes of the galaxy, a transmission emanating from a distant, forgotten corner of space. It was a message buried deep within the old, uncharted systems, one that had been lost to time and history. Yet, for the first time in millennia, someone had found it. And what it contained was a truth so dangerous it could shatter the foundations of everything the Galactic Council thought they knew about humanity. The Forgotten War. Back on Earth, a team of historians and archaeologists sifted through the planet's vast archives, seeking clues about the mysterious origins of human power. They had always suspected there was more to humanity's past than anyone realized. There had been whispers in the records, stories about a war that had never been written in textbooks or spoken of in polite society. It was a conflict too devastating, too brutal for modern sensibilities. Yet, its scars ran deep through the very fabric of Earth's history. Dr. Evelyn Harper, an expert in ancient human history, stumbled upon something buried deep within the archives. An old series of transmissions, a story long forgotten. She could hardly believe her eyes as the documents flickered to life on her screen, revealing the unspeakable truth. Earth had fought, and won, a war against a technologically superior alien race centuries ago, one that was said to have wiped out entire civilizations. The alien invaders, known as the Kroth, were a species far more advanced than humanity could ever hope to be, with weapons that bent the very laws of physics and fleets that could obliterate planets in an instant. But despite the overwhelming odds, humanity had prevailed. Using guerrilla tactics, unrelenting determination, and a tenacity that no one had predicted, Earth had managed to destroy the Kroth's war machine. Not through conventional military power, but through strategy and cunning, by turning their own technology against them, exploiting their weaknesses, and sacrificing everything for the survival of their species. The Kroth's downfall had not come in a grand battle. It came in small, hidden skirmishes. It came in acts of defiance, in the refusal to bow, to submit, to be destroyed without a fight. It was a war fought in the shadows, fought with deception, and fought with an iron will to survive. The Croth, after decades of dominance, had underestimated humanity, and it cost them their empire. The Council's blind spot. As Dr. Harper continued her research, she uncovered more and more about the Croth War. But the true horror was not just the fact that humanity had won, it was how they had won. The war had changed everything. The human race, once thought to be weak and vulnerable, had become something else entirely. They had learned from their defeat, grown stronger, and built an unshakable resilience into their very DNA. For the Galactic Council, this was a revelation that could not be ignored. They had believed the humans were little more than a footnote in galactic history, a fledgling species to be manipulated and guided. But now, with the knowledge of Earth's past and the scars it carried, came the realization that humanity was not the docile, unseasoned race they had assumed. They were a species that had faced extinction, fought against impossible odds, and come out on top. The Council's arrogance was now their greatest liability. They had assumed that Earth's rejection was an act of ignorance, that the humans simply didn't understand the stakes. But the truth was far more troubling. Humanity understood the stakes all too well, and they had no intention of becoming pawns in a galactic game of power. The human advantage. As the Galactic Council convened to determine their next move, they failed to see the full picture. Earth's rejection was not a hasty decision. It was a calculated risk. Romanoff and the other human leaders knew exactly what they were doing. By rejecting the Council, they were sending a message. They were telling the galaxy that they were not afraid. Not of the Council, not of the Croth, and certainly not of any alien force that might come their way. As the Council debated their course of action, they could not fathom that humanity had already begun preparing for war. Earth's military infrastructure, though not yet fully known to the galaxy, was already far beyond what the Council imagined. Their technologies, while seemingly primitive in comparison to some of the Council's, held a hidden potential. It was the same potential that had allowed humanity to survive the Croth War and emerge victorious. The Council, caught in their own blind spot, failed to realize that humanity had learned a simple truth long ago. Survival was not a matter of power, but of will. And Earth had more will than any civilization the galaxy had ever seen. The message was clear. Humans were not the naive, powerless species the Council thought they were. They were a force to be reckoned with, and any attempts to control them would come with consequences. Consequences the Galactic Council was not ready to face. The stage was set, and humanity was no longer a player in the game. They were the ones calling the shots. As Dr. Harper uncovered the final pieces of the puzzle, she knew that what humanity had achieved in the past was only the beginning. The galaxy would soon understand that Earth's power was far more than what could be seen on the surface. It was a force shaped by history, forged in blood, and driven by an unyielding determination to never, ever bow to anyone again. The Galactic Council had never experienced anything like it. It wasn't just the rejection of their offer. Humanity's refusal was a calculated slap in the face. The silence in the chamber was deafening, each council member grappling with the realization that their once unquestioned authority had been challenged by a species they had thought of as insignificant. Ambassador Romanoff stood unflinching before them, her face a mask of stoic resolve. For her, this was not a moment of defiance. It was a declaration. She had made her point, and now it was time to watch the council squirm. The rejection wasn't just about politics. It was about Earth's place in the universe. And humanity had made it clear. They didn't need the Galactic Council. A dangerous game. Vither, the towering Zonar counselor who had led the charge for Earth's inclusion, could hardly contain his disbelief. He had spent weeks crafting the proposal, seeing humanity's potential as a powerful asset to the galaxy. Yet, here they were, rejected. And not just rejected in the polite, diplomatic way most alien species would have done, but with cold, unshakable finality. "You misunderstand," Romanoff spoke calmly, her voice cutting through the tension. "We don't need your protection, your alliances, or your terms. Earth has stood alone before, and it will continue to do so." The room erupted into a cacophony of voices. Some council members whispered frantically to each other, while others simply stared, their eyes wide with shock. Never had any species, especially one as young as humanity, refused the security and privilege that the Galactic Council provided. This was supposed to be the start of an exciting chapter for Earth. Instead, the Council now realized it was facing something they had not accounted for, a species that refused to bow. "I think there has been some misunderstanding," Vither said, attempting to regain control of the situation. "Humanity's survival is at risk. Without the Council's resources, you stand no chance against the challenges of the galaxy. Your planet, your species, is too young, too unprepared. This is your opportunity to join the galaxy, to thrive with our guidance." Romanoff's expression softened, but only slightly. "Your guidance is the reason humanity is rejecting your offer. We don't need to be protected, and we don't need to be taught how to survive. We've fought our battles, and we've won." A few council members shifted uneasily in their seats, exchanging looks of concern. They had expected humanity to join with a mix of gratitude and eagerness. The fact that they were meeting resistance, unwilling to compromise or bend, was both confounding and deeply unsettling. "We are not your charity case," Romanoff added, her tone firm. "We understand the risks, the dangers of the universe, but we will face them on our own terms." The message was clear, and for the first time in their long tenure, the Galactic Council members felt the weight of their own arrogance. Earth wasn't just another planet to assimilate into the fold. It was something different, something far more dangerous than they had anticipated. The calm before the storm. The murmurs began to die down as Romanoff finished speaking. She stood there, poised and unshaken, as if she had been prepared for this moment her entire life. The tension in the room was palpable as Vither exchanged looks with the other council members. They knew they had no choice but to press on. "This will be your last warning, Ambassador," Vither said, his voice laced with a quiet menace. "Rejecting the Council's terms will come at a cost. We do not tolerate insubordination. If you insist on turning away from the path we've set for you, know that there will be consequences." Romanoff's eyes narrowed, but she did not flinch. "We'll face whatever consequences come our way," she said with quiet conviction. "But don't mistake our rejection for weakness. It is strength, and it will be your downfall if you continue to press us." For a moment, no one spoke. It wasn't just a threat, it was a warning. The Council was not used to being the one forced to back down, but here they were, on the edge of something new, something entirely unforeseen. What had once seemed like a simple negotiation had escalated into something much larger, far more dangerous than any of them had anticipated. The Council would not be able to ignore humanity's decision, nor would they be able to ignore the message it carried. Earth was no longer a simple, vulnerable planet to be shaped by the will of the galactic powers. It was a force to be reckoned with, a force that no one, not even the mighty Galactic Council, could control. The meeting ended in a tense silence, with no clear resolution. But for Romanoff, the message had been sent. Humanity would no longer bend to the will of others. It was time for the galaxy to learn that the age of human submission was over. And no matter how the Council responded, they would soon discover that rejecting humanity was the worst mistake they could have ever made. A fleet of alien ships, cloaked in the shadows of space, moved silently toward Earth's orbit. They were sent by the Galactic Council, a covert mission to observe the human threat and assess just how far humanity had truly come. No one in the Council could fathom how a species so young had rejected their offer with such confidence, and no one, not even the highest-ranking members, believed they were prepared for what they were about to uncover. The humans had made their stand, but the Council needed proof. They needed to understand the nature of the power they were dealing with. What they didn't know was that they were walking directly into a trap. The hidden forces, the alien fleet, composed of several advanced ships from across the galaxy, entered Earth's atmosphere undetected, cloaking themselves in the vast expanse of space as they approached the planet. Their mission was simple: observe, gather intelligence, and return with enough data to prepare for any possible confrontation. No one had expected the humans to be capable of defending themselves effectively, at least not at the scale the Council now feared. The fleet commander, a seasoned tactician named Zorith, watched Earth from the cockpit of his flagship. "They think they can hide from us," he muttered to himself, his 6 eyes scanning the distant blue planet. The humans had no idea that they were under surveillance. But the truth was, Earth had always been prepared for an invasion. Hidden beneath the planet's surface, ancient technology left behind from past wars lay dormant, awaiting the moment it would be needed again. The Galactic Council had underestimated Earth's history, and they would soon pay the price. As Zorith's fleet moved closer to the planet, they activated their stealth systems, thinking they were undetectable. But what they didn't know was that Earth had been tracking them the entire time. Hidden beneath the surface, deep in the ocean's depths, a network of satellites and advanced radar systems hummed to life. For years, humanity had been secretly upgrading their planetary defense systems, preparing for any potential threat from the stars. Before the alien fleet knew what was happening, Earth's defenses unleashed a devastating counterattack. A sudden surge of energy ripped through the atmosphere, and the first ship in the fleet exploded in a flash of light, its outer shell disintegrating before it could even respond. Zorith's voice trembled with shock. "Impossible. They detected us." "How?" He ordered his remaining ships to activate their own countermeasures. But it was too late. Earth's defenses were too advanced, too coordinated. Ship after ship was obliterated in quick succession, their advanced technology unable to outmatch the hidden weaponry buried deep beneath Earth's surface. While the alien fleet struggled to respond, a smaller, far more deadly weapon prepared for deployment. It was Earth's last line of defense, something the Council never saw coming. Dr. Evelyn Harper, the historian who had uncovered the secrets of Earth's ancient past, had also stumbled upon something much more dangerous, a dormant technology from the ancient war that had saved humanity from the Croth. This technology, buried deep underground and sealed away for centuries, was a weapon of unimaginable power. But it wasn't just about firepower, it was about precision, about using the right weapon at the right time. As Zorith's fleet was decimated, Harper's team triggered the weapon's activation sequence. It wasn't just a weapon of destruction, it was a message to the stars. Humanity was no longer helpless, and no one would threaten them again. The weapon's first strike was a burst of energy that caused a ripple through space itself. Zorith's flagship was caught in the shockwave, its systems crippled, its crew thrown into chaos. The remaining ships, now on the defensive, tried to retreat, but they were pursued by humanity's relentless assault. "Retreat," Zorith barked, his voice shaking with disbelief. "We've underestimated them. Get us out of here, now." But as the remaining ships attempted to flee, Earth's weapons followed them, relentless, unforgiving, and precise. The remaining alien fleet was torn apart piece by piece, their retreat no more successful than their initial attack. The humans had won, and they had done so with a power no one, not even the mighty Galactic Council, had thought possible. As the final alien ship disintegrated in the void of space, the Galactic Council members received the first reports of the disaster. The mission had failed. Worse yet, humanity had not only survived, but had inflicted a decisive blow that no one could have predicted. Counselor Vither, who had once believed humanity to be an insignificant player in the grand galactic game, sat in stunned silence. His previous arrogance had led him to assume that the human race was weak and naive. But now, with the destruction of an entire fleet, it was clear. Humanity was anything but weak. They were dangerous. They were a force that could change the entire balance of power. The Council was no longer certain how to proceed. The humans had shown them their true strength, and it was something that could not be ignored. But what would the next step be? Could they strike again, or would Earth's response be even more devastating? One thing was certain. The Galactic Council could no longer control humanity. They had miscalculated in every way, and the consequences were far greater than they could have ever imagined. Humanity had awoken, and now the galaxy would have to reckon with them. The Galactic Council was on the brink of panic. In the span of just a few days, humanity had shattered their assumptions, crushed their fleets, and left them grasping for control of a situation they had never seen coming. The galaxy's most powerful civilizations had always dictated the terms of engagement, but Earth had thrown those terms out the window. Now, the Council had no choice but to consider their options carefully, and with great fear. Ambassador Talia Romanoff's message, sent after the destruction of the fleet, had been clear. Earth was not to be underestimated. The warning had been given, and now, as the Council gathered for a rare emergency session, they knew they were faced with a decision that would determine the future of the galaxy itself. The edge of retaliation. Vither, the Zoan-AR counselor, was the first to speak, his voice heavy with frustration. "We can't let this stand. Earth has humiliated us. They've attacked a fleet we sent as a mere show of force. This cannot go unanswered. We must retaliate." His words were met with nods from the more hawkish members of the Council, those who believed in swift, decisive action. But other counselors remained silent, their faces etched with concern. They understood that retaliation, while tempting, could escalate into something far more dangerous, something none of them had prepared for. Counselor Tlun, a cold-blooded strategist from the Vraxi Dominion, broke the silence. "Vither's right. We cannot allow Earth's insolence to go unpunished. But we must also understand that we are dealing with a species whose capabilities are far beyond what we expected. We cannot afford to make another misstep." A tense silence followed Tlun's words, the gravity of the situation settling over the room. It wasn't just Earth's technological power that was concerning. It was their ability to surprise, to fight back with an aggression and cunning that the galaxy had not seen before. Romanoff's words echoed in their minds. "We will face whatever consequences come our way." The defiance in her voice had been unmistakable. Earth was not just rejecting them. They were preparing for war. The cost of war. As the Council debated the possibility of war, each member weighed the costs. The decision was not simple. An all-out war with Earth would be catastrophic. The human race had proven they were not easily intimidated. Worse, their newfound power had the potential to upset the balance of the entire galaxy. The Council's unity had always been its greatest strength, but humanity's defiance threatened to unravel that unity. "If we attack Earth now, we risk everything," Counselor Sarnak, an elder from the Andara system, said with quiet conviction. "Our fleets are formidable, yes, but we are no longer fighting a species of unarmed primitives. We're facing something entirely different. A war with humanity will stretch our resources, divide our forces, and fracture our alliances. The cost will be immeasurable." Sarnak's words lingered in the air, and for a moment, even the most hawkish Council members paused to consider them. There was no denying the growing fear that humanity's unexpected power brought with it the potential for galactic chaos. But Vither, still simmering with anger, refused to back down. "If we do nothing, if we allow this affront to go unchallenged, we risk losing our influence, our authority. The galaxy will question our strength, and others will follow humanity's lead. We cannot allow that to happen." The debate raged on, the room split between those who sought war and those who urged caution. As the minutes stretched into hours, it became clear that no consensus would emerge, no easy solution to the crisis they now faced. A warning like no other. Finally, the holographic display flickered to life, interrupting the heated debate. It was a transmission from Earth. Romanoff appeared on the screen, her face composed but unmistakably resolute. "Counselors of the Galactic Assembly," she began, her voice carrying the weight of an entire species' determination. "I believe I have made our position clear. Earth is not your enemy, but it will never bow to your rule. You are at a crossroads. If you choose to retaliate, we will defend ourselves. If you choose peace, we will welcome it. But make no mistake, we will not be bullied, and we will not be silenced." Her image paused for a moment, her eyes scanning the Council, as though she could see them across the vast distance of space. "This is your final warning. If you continue to press us, Earth will become a force you cannot control. It will not be a matter of might, but of will. And history has shown that humanity's will is unbreakable. With that, the transmission ended, leaving a haunting silence in its wake. The Council's dilemma. As the hologram vanished, the counselors exchanged uneasy glances. The finality of Romanoff's words left an indelible mark on their minds. Earth was no longer a weak, defenseless species. They were a power in their own right, one that could not be ignored or controlled. Vither's frustration boiled over, but even he could not ignore the truth of Romanoff's warning. The galaxy was standing on the brink of a conflict that would change everything. And for the first time, the Galactic Council wasn't sure whether it had the strength to win. The decision was clear: retreat or risk a war that could unravel the very fabric of the galaxy. And in that moment, the future of the galaxy was uncertain. The Council could no longer control humanity, and the last warning had been given. The galaxy trembled in the wake of the Galactic Council's final failed attempt to subdue Earth. News of their retreat spread like wildfire through the interstellar networks, and a quiet, persistent fear began to seep into the hearts of every major civilization. Earth was no longer just a problem, it was the problem. The Council had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. But as the Council hid behind their walls of power, another force was quietly gathering, ready to change the course of galactic history forever. The Hidden Alliance. Beneath the surface of the conflict, something remarkable was taking shape. Unbeknownst to the Galactic Council, humanity's true strength wasn't just in their military might or their raw determination. It was in their ability to forge alliances with those who had long been overlooked by the galaxy's elite. It was a web of relationships that had grown in the shadows, unseen and unacknowledged. For centuries, Earth had been an isolated backwater of the galaxy. But that isolation had allowed humanity to form bonds with races that other civilizations had either ignored or forgotten. These species, long hidden from the prying eyes of the Council, had watched humanity rise from the ashes of their past, and they recognized the same resilience, the same unyielding spirit that had once led them to their own victories. And now they were ready to stand with Earth. The secret was about to be revealed. The catalyst. Dr. Evelyn Harper, the historian who had unlocked Earth's most dangerous secrets, sat quietly in her lab, studying the remnants of an ancient alien artifact she had uncovered years ago. What she didn't realize was that this artifact was more than just a relic of the past. It was the key to unlocking Earth's greatest weapon. The artifact, a crystalline device inscribed with an ancient alien script, had been dormant for centuries. But now, as Harper deciphered its contents, she discovered that it held the coordinates to a hidden armada of ships that had once belonged to the Croth, the very race humanity had defeated in their ancient war. These ships, equipped with technology far beyond anything the galaxy had seen, were waiting in deep space, hidden from the eyes of the Council. The message was clear. Earth had always known what was coming, and they had prepared for it in secret. Harper's discovery would change everything. The message sent. Once the artifact secrets were unlocked, Earth's leaders were quick to act. A silent transmission was sent to the hidden armada, an encrypted signal that had been passed down through generations. Within hours, the ancient fleet, hidden in the far reaches of the galaxy, began to awaken. Ships that had been forgotten by time now powered up, ready to defend their human allies once more. Romanoff, having learned of the discovery, knew that this was humanity's final move. The Galactic Council had shown their hand, and now it was Earth's turn. The Armada, though long dormant, was an undeniable force. Their technology, their firepower, and their ability to strike from the shadows would give humanity the edge they needed. With the fleet now on standby, Romanoff issued a final transmission to the Council. Her face appeared on the holographic screen, calm and composed, but the weight of what she was about to say was undeniable. "Counselors of the Galactic Assembly," she began, her voice steady, "you have pushed humanity to the brink. You have underestimated us at every turn, and now you will see what we are truly capable of. Earth no longer seeks your protection, nor your alliances. We have found our place in the stars, and it is not at your mercy." Her words hung in the air, charged with the promise of what was to come. We will no longer be silenced. We will no longer be controlled. Earth stands united, and we will rise as a force unlike anything you have ever encountered. The transmission ended, and the council was left in stunned silence. They had no idea what humanity had unlocked, what power now lay at their fingertips. The old alliances that had once been hidden, the ancient fleets now ready for war, they were all part of a plan that had been in motion long before the council ever knew Earth existed. The new era. As the final message from Romanoff echoed through the vastness of space, the galaxy held its breath. The Galactic Council was faced with a reality they had never imagined. Earth, the planet they had once regarded as nothing more than a speck on the galactic map, had risen to challenge them. But this time, it wasn't just about humanity's defiance. It was about their will to shape their own destiny. And the galaxy would have no choice but to reckon with it. The rise of Earth had begun, and the balance of power was shifting. The Council had made its last mistake. The new era had arrived, and humanity was leading the charge.